When Alan Wake came out in 2010, Remedy crafted an interesting narrative of a writer whose wife goes missing while away on vacation at Bright Falls. The supernatural slowly begins to unfold when Alan Wake finds out that pages from a book he doesn't remember writing starts to come to life around him, and he must fight the darkness to find his way back into the light while finding out what happened to his wife. It was a very interesting story that quickly fell apart with a very clunky and unsatisfying gameplay system that plagued the experience. It's one of the few games I played where I actually wished it had a story mode so that I could focus more on its strong narrative beats and less on the sufferable combat. When the announcement for Alan Wake 2 was announced, I still had that lingering disappointment from the first game. I was excited to see what the next chapter of Alan Wake's story would reveal, but I wasn't excited about the gameplay mechanics I needed to endure to experience it, so I waited. 2 years after its release in 2023, I finally decided to give this game a try, and to my surprise, this game is the complete package. The strong psychological storytelling and a much improved gameplay system that solved everything I wanted to see improved in the gameplay, man.
Christ!
Remedy's narrative is a slow simmering masterpiece split between two characters. Saga Anderson is an FBI agent tasked with solving a series of grisly murders back in Bright Falls, all of which are linked to Alan Wake, who makes his return trapped in the dark place, searching desperately for a way out.
Who are you?
It's a sequel that twists your perception of reality, your creativity, and your mind much more than the first game attempted to do in every way. It's a story that feels grounded and then layers itself with a growing unease, with profound moments of breaking the fourth wall that bleeds back into reality, making you doubt and question what moments throughout the game are real and what's supposed to be in the mind. The psychological dread builds organically. Jump scares from the villain in this game feels like he's not just trying to scare Alan and Saga during the journey, no. He's got his eyes out on you, the player, as well. There's a subtle level of paranoia that creeps in slowly, making the experience feel intimately personal, like the darkness is whispering at your own fears. What I loved about the narrative is that through the chaos and all the confusion, the narrative was surprisingly easy to keep up with. This is all thanks to a combination of Alan Wake's narration throughout, which gives you a glimpse of what he's trying to navigate without spoiling anything. You've also got these moments where both Saga and Alan can dive into what's called their mind place. In Saga's mind, she can organize all the cases she's working on like an FBI agent or a detective normally would. And as she acquires clues, evidence, photos, and other notes, you can populate them on her evidence wall to advance the plot. When you have moments where you're not sure what to do or where to go, it's likely you'll need to come back here and fill in the blanks, so to speak, so that Saga knows clearly what she needs to do next. In addition to this, she can also communicate with people through her mind in order to uncover more clues. Making sure you check both these spots will guarantee you keep advancing the story. Alan, on the other hand, can do something similar. While he's trying to find his way out of the dark place, he's able to discover and even write in new story elements to help him navigate his way out via the writer's room. I found these can be a bit more confusing to keep up with if you're not paying attention. Most of the time, I ended up swapping between plot points to find the correct one to advance a story, but I found it much more tedious compared to Saga's. Overall, the pacing is deliberate and very well done. To a degree, some of the investigative lulls felt like it was supposed to be a part of the confusion, which ended up being a little bit more frustrating at times. However, when you're making progress, this game becomes one of the most immersive stories I've played in a long time. Trying to discern who's telling the truth and then realizing what you thought you knew actually takes you in a different direction was an awesome feeling, and I thought its overall lack of predictability was fantastic. As mentioned earlier, Alan Wake 2 splits time between both Alan Wake and Saga Anderson, each with their own situations that amplify the horror. Saga delivers a detective survival hybrid gameplay style rooted in Bright Falls' foggy Pacific Northwest. You explore rain-soaked towns, dense woods, and quirky locales, interviewing suspects and snapping photos for clues. When you're investigating, you're mostly in her mind place on the evidence board, putting the pieces together to unlock leads, story branches, and revelations. In addition to that, you will also upgrade the weapons you will acquire and can also learn some permanent passive bonuses. Each one you find unlocks a certain type of ability that makes combat a bit easier. Speaking of combat, it's a massive improvement from the original game. Both characters are armed with a flashlight, which is used to remove the shadowy shields that cover the Taken. Without the flashlight, weapons like the pistol, the shotgun, rifle, and even the crossbow are meaningless. So you always want to have your flashlight ready with batteries. Guns overall feel really good. You get a good sense of the recoil of each weapon, and ammo is just scarce enough to add to the tension. While Saga is dealing with the issues on Bright Falls, Alan's segments have him lost in the surreal dark place, a looping nightmare of New York City where he can weaponize his writing to help him get out. Accessing the writer's room, Alan can rewrite plots via echoes, which allow him to alter the environment he's in on the fly. Like turning a safe street hostel or turning a simple hotel into an absolute crime scene. A meta aspect of the narrative that gives the game a lot of dimensionality. Combat here still leans heavier on the flashlight, but also his angel lamp, which siphons light from light sources to open up new paths for him to move forward. Bright Falls is an amazingly beautiful landscape with autumnal decay, mossy cabins, constant rain with nice reflections, flickering neon. Just the use of light in this game is very well done. The Dark Place, it's a psychedelic hellscape of warped skyscrapers, mocking billboards, and foreboding messages that haunt you as you traverse. Characters pop with lifelike micro-expressions, sweat beads, all while ray-traced lights cast a nice volumetric fog and nice reflections that make every scene really pop. Live-action video is also integrated flawlessly into the narrative, adding a level of story-driven confusion and dimensionality to the plot. Remedy's North Light engine delivers a photorealism I think personally surpasses UE5 in some respects. The character designs have so much detail in their skin, exposing pores, their hair, the textures on their clothing. It's all really fantastic. I start to sound like a broken record when I talk about how good the visuals are in games nowadays, but it's instances like these where you really see the difference. Art direction in games is such an important aspect of the visual puzzle to me. It's not just about making the game look good fidelity-wise. It's crucial in establishing the game's mood, its identity, and emotional response, helping players to really suspend their disbelief and become immersed in the game's universe. This involves things like the theme and the tone. I say this all to say that Alan Wake 2 absolutely nails the art direction in this game. I played this game on a base PS5. I found no issues with performance, no stutters or glitches. It was just a pleasure to play, start to finish. Superb sound design cements the terror here. The sound design turns forests into whisper traps, distant howls that feel like they're closing in, and frequent jump scares that have launched me out of my seat multiple times while playing. Wearing headphones takes the experience to another level. The game feels like you're wearing a blanket of sounds wrapped around your body and you can hear everything. There's even a list of music videos that are played after each chapter in the game that speak appropriately around the things going on in the game, and for the most part, each one of these hits really well. From the sounds of someone stepping on a stick in a forest or a can rolling down the street to the haunting pressure of evil trying to keep you away, you can't do a good psychological horror experience without good layered sound design, and Alan Wake 2 delivers. Overall fun factor, so the game is actually immensely replayable. It took me 35 hours to complete, including all the DLC, which I will cover next. I am not one of those gamers that fits the description of a how long to beat playthrough. I take my time, I walk slow down corridors, sometimes it takes me a bit to solve a puzzle, but I am absolutely not a speedrunner. I've enjoyed most of the puzzles in this game, there were a lot of them, and I really enjoyed the combat. It just feels really good to play. You feel in control, moments feel very tense at times, but I never felt like I lost composure while I was playing. The story is very well told and easy to keep up with despite all the levels of intentional confusion, and the ending was also surprisingly very satisfying, opening up more of the lore and story in New Game Plus to discover. So I'll definitely be playing through this game again to experience the rest of the lore and story that I'm missing, but I'm also awaiting an Alan Wake 3 as there are a number of characters and character threads that haven't yet been finalized. Diving into the DLCs, let's start with Night Springs. This anthology frames 3 lost episodes of the in-game TV show. Think of it like Twilight Zone or Black Mirror. The 3 episodes pit you in a reality warping group of tales, starring familiar faces in absurd scenarios. Rose Marigold's #1 fan episode kicks off with her in a love-struck horror romp, rescuing the writer from shadowy foes and a monstrous rival, blending the feeling of a romance parody with cultic vibes. Tim Breaker's Timebreaker episode hunts multiverse doors through dimensions, going after the infamous Mr. Door, while Jessie Faden from Control stars in North Star, where she's in search of her brother within a distorted version of Coffee World. It's a nice break from the main content that didn't take up more than 5 hours of playing time, and you get cameos from Control and Quantum Break, indicating further that all these games are certainly interconnected somehow. The Lake House DLC is a prequel to the game Control that follows FBC agent Kieran Estevez to a lake house outpost probing Cauldron Lake experiments gone paranatural. It introduces some new enemy types involving someone who has the power to manipulate paint. There is also some lore on Alan Wake that's interesting to find as well. The 3 to 5 hour DLC is quite a bit more haunting than the Night Springs episodes, and for those of you who played Control, it will feel like familiar territory. You will find a decent amount of exploration with some puzzle solving and some intense hallways to navigate, but no Control-like powers or anything like that. Just a trusty pistol and some new elements I'll let you experience for yourself. And that's going to do it for this review. Had a ton of fun playing this game. I'm surprised I waited 2 years before finally taking a look at it. There's a ton of really good narrative going on in this game, and the gameplay is such an improvement from the first game. This is an easy recommend. Remedy addressed all the issues I had with the first game, primarily with combat, and the thrills are taken up a notch as well. So if you're in the mood for a psychological thriller, do not ignore this game.